Okay, we're back, and we're here with Dr. Gregory Jenkins, my doc of the My Doc and Dukov. This is Alicia Dukov, the soon-to-be PsyD, at the panel. And today we have celebrity nutrition specialist, Tara LaValle, who has come up with an amazing, beautiful way to combat mind, body, and spirit with the whole being of the person, getting you healthy on every level. And she has this website called bodybytara.com that she just launched. We're sitting here talking about sex drive today, low sex drive, how to just increase that libido, get you in full throttle, and keep you there, basically. So before the break, Dr. Jenkins had mentioned taking drugs for the topic that we're talking about.
Right.
And me as the patient sitting between the two of these amazing people today, I am going to be used as like that person in general, that we can talk about how you would combat me, my levels from the MD side and from the nutrition side.
Yes.
So go for it. What drugs would you want to talk about?
Well, I think that you have to have all the hormones checked, like Tara was telling earlier in the show, and you have to make sure that get those checked. And some of them are so specialized, you really should see somebody that knows about it, like Tara or myself, because we can guide you. And usually it's a two-person approach, and you really should buy your supplements from somebody you know, like Tara. And you can call her, you can talk to her. If you go to Rite Aid or Longs or CVS, you're looking at the bottles, which one's good for me, which one's not good for me. But if you call me or you call her, we can help you, and we want you to get better. I want people to be better. I was talking to Tara earlier about when she had a sore throat. She said, "Well, did they do the right thing?" I said, "Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't do this and didn't do that." And she wasn't real happy with what happened there.
And that's really the big thing is you have to trust who you're placing your health in the hands of. This is not something, like you see an infomercial and you're going to go, oh, this is a magic diet pill and I'm going to lose weight. There's a lot of factors involved in that, and that's why seeing the test results is so important. When I competed back in 2009 in fitness, and I had a coach, and I was training 6 days a week, two sessions a day, dieting, and I was not seeing results. And he goes, go get your hormones, your thyroid, and adrenals tested for me.
Oh, you saw the right person.
And I brought them to him, and he goes, I knew it. My thyroid was slow. And so basically I had to work double to get even one step ahead.
I'm so glad you just brought that up, because as a layman, as just like a normal person that isn't a specialist in nutrition, isn't an MD, when we feel something wrong with us, sometimes we go down a route, or so many routes, just to try to fix what we think the problem is, and we don't realize the subtlety of something that we would never have thought about, like the thyroid would slow down the whole process. When you're trying so excruciatingly to get yourself healthy, and you're trying all these different things, but really until you go and see that doctor, until you come and see your nutritionist,
right?
It could be something as simple and subtle as that thyroid, and then it changes the entire course of what you do to get yourself better.
Exactly, and it's not just, there's such a big range on these test results, which that, you could be in the middle and you could be in range, but doesn't mean you're optimal. It doesn't mean you're actually burning fat if it was at the high end of normal. And so that's what I looked for, and that's what my coach looked for, and that's when you can find someone that wants you optimal. If your testosterone is in range, but it's at the lowest end possible.
And you wouldn't know that until you get that detected. Right.
Or you could be at 1,000 or at the highest end. Well, you're going to feel much better as a guy if it's at 1,000 versus 400.
And as a woman, what is that?
What's the reference range on women?
Low thyroid?
No, testosterone.
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember. I just look at the lab report.
Sure. But you'd rather be optimal.
Most men, for men, I don't know about women, but for men it's between 400 and 1,089. Yeah. But for women, I don't know specifically.
It can't
but
be
I was telling her earlier today, I said I didn't realize until I read this article and we're talking about that there's a separate testosterone for women testing. So for men, it says testosterone men. So I'll have to find out what that is.
And of course, every lab you go to is going to have a different reference range. But you definitely, I've been to plenty of doctors that as long as you are in range, they say you're fine. And so that's really the key, is to make sure that you're optimal. That's the first line of defense. Then we start in with the training and the diet and the supplements. But, you can be spinning your wheels with training, diet, and supplements, but if you don't go to the root, you're never going to really see the changes you want.
Right. And many times the patients come in and they feel perfectly fine there for a physical, and medicine practice at the ivory towers is different from what we do in the field. So patients come in, and I many times order these hormones because it's not really recommended from anybody that's in the government, but I know that we find negatives and they need to be treated. Vitamin D, I was telling her earlier,
so important.
At least half my patients are low in vitamin D.
Right, and you know what? That relates to vitamin D from the sun, by the way, right? Just on the simplest level.
And diet.
It changes so much about our mood. Vitamin D is so important for us, and of course we live in Southern California where we kind of take for granted that we have a lot of this, but in places like London, England, where I lived for a while, in places like Seattle, there is actually something called SAD. There's an actual diagnosis of being sad because you're lacking the vitamin D from the sun. So it's just things like that in our environment that we really have to become conscious and aware of, and we don't have to do that on our own. As a layman, I'm sitting here telling you guys, if you go to a nutritionist like Tara, if you go to your doctor who's aware of this, like my doc, Dr. Jenkins, like, you know, it enlightens you to these levels that you're not aware of that are important.
Yes, and I was so happy to hear that he was a believer in D3. D3 is something I've come across in the medical community that you either believe in it or you don't. Most think that you don't need as much as like the 50,000 we were talking about of D3, which actually, if you're getting a cold, works better than vitamin C and echinacea. D3. It actually.
Interesting. Why? Why do you think that is?
I don't know.
It tends to some of the natural doctors I've been to
enhance the immune system really rapidly.
The natural doctors I've been to, they say when you're getting a cold, they do 50,000, but they do it 3 times a day until you knock the cold out. I have also read that in ER for seniors, they'll give up to 300,000 in the ER of D3. It's that powerful for immune.
The sun.
So
basically, right?
The sun?
The sun, D3.
Yeah, but you know, we're not out in the sun like we used to be, and we put sunblock on all the time. We don't go in the sun like we used to.
I'm just trying to get people to remember the term because this
D3.
is how I would remember
and
it.
And the 3 is different than regular D.
Okay, tell me about that.
It has to have the 3 at the bottom.
What does the 3 mean?
It's a different type of D than just D.
All right.
So that's the one that's going to help your immune system.
That's the thing. Okay, so this is why I'm sitting here right now. This is the only thing I can contribute to this conversation is like, if you're listening, maca is the first thing that we talked about.
ZMA.
The plant in South America. Okay, ZMA.
ZMA, which helps you sleep and get into REM sleep.
Which helps you sleep. And that relaxes you, basically, which is what's going to encourage the
REM sleep will help you release testosterone.
The testosterone,
yes.
right. Okay, and then now we're talking about D3. And so how to remember that is the sun. We need that light source. Okay.
And you can drink milk, too.
Okay.
But, I think you should, anybody that's listening that has any sleep issues, they should try some of these things that Tara's talking about. Just buy one bottle and try it.
Oh, absolutely.
And then if it works, call her.
Yes.
Make sure you call her.
Yes.
And to see what else you may need.
And ginseng. Ginseng actually increases sperm count and heightens sensation, so it will help with erectile dysfunction and orgasm.
And so for those of you who don't know, ginseng, this is an ancient Chinese herb, right? Ancient, yes. Like thousands of years. People have been using this for energy.
If you
and balancing.
If you're curious and you want to go, check on the back of some of the labels, and you'll see them in the convenience stores of like, hey, here's the pill for tonight, for the guys, right? Turn it over, read the ingredient list. You will most likely find ginseng. You'll find maca, tribulus, ZMA. All of the things I'm giving you, zinc, magnesium, all the things that I'm talking about will be in that pill.
Amazing.
Tribulus always reminds me of like one of those Roman movies, and the soldiers are walking around. They go, "Hail Tribulus!"
Right, a Tribulus.
Hail
hey,
Tribulus.
You know what? There's another one right there. There's another way to remember this. A Tribulus.
I say, why not?
Hail a Tribulus. So cute. Okay, and so what did you bring today? What is this that we were talking about with the sex?
A journal article out of the Mayo Clinic Proceedings.
Yes, I have this here in front of me.
It was in January of this year, and it's about hypoactive sexual desire disorder in women.
Okay, so this is kind of my forte,
This is a panel review of everything, and they brought together all different kind of studies and merged them together, and they had a panel to decide what was important.
Right, so I pulled it up here. Hypoactive sexual dysfunction. HSSD. So basically, and this kind of goes into the realm of what I do with sex therapy and in psychology, this is one of the most undetectable diagnoses for women as why they have low sex drive. A woman would come into my therapy office and say, I just can't have an orgasm. There are so many routes that I'm going to be taking with her regarding, maybe she's had sexual trauma in the past. Maybe she's, not found her big O yet, and she has to do some internal work herself to explore that and masturbate and be that for herself first. There are all these routes. But sometimes it's purely physiological, and that's out of my scope of practice. Sometimes it's purely not just physiological, but on a very body level, a very somatic level, not just about the mind. And this is where you two come in. And so I would sit there with the person, and I would test for this hypoactive sexual disorder, most undetectable usually in therapy offices. And I would refer her to you.
Yeah, there are some instruments that you can use where they can do a checklist and they can help you.
So there's a basic thing, though, that I can tell you. So just like I said, ginseng and zinc and all of the things that I've mentioned can help you have more circulation. So more circulation means blood flow to where you're feeling it.
Right.
Okay, you're going to feel it more. Now, it's proven that stimulants, which tax your adrenal glands, actually can hinder the sensation.
Would dry it up.
So what does that mean? If you've got somebody they take too many stimulants, they can't achieve orgasm. What I would do is I would say, let's decrease the stimulants, let's take some of these, the ginseng, all the things I'm recommending. All of a sudden the next day, she can feel it again.
Because of the ginseng.
Yeah. She can
now,
feel
what
it.
I would say to that, my question would be, if I'm taking that ginseng supplement now, right, to Dr. Jenkins, I would then say, do I need some dopaminergic stimulation
once
there.
You get the lab test results back, and that will help us direct what you need. And there is an instrument called the Decreased Sexual Desire Screener. Decreased Sexual Desire Screener, which is a 5-question
a questionnaire
that helps the psychologist or doctor or anybody to find out whether you would benefit from more testing. And you can just get that and answer it and see your doctor or see Tara here.
Yeah. Okay, now say that I come in for that test and I test that I do fall in the spectrum of having the hypoactive sexual disorder. What would you
need the
prescribe me?
Well, I wouldn't prescribe anything yet. You'd have to get the labs first and see what you need. Because not everybody may not have low testosterone. Everybody might have a low dopamine. So you need to find out what hormone is missing and are low.
So let's talk a little bit about dopamine on your side for a second, because it's a really important factor in what we're discussing right now, right?
Right.
What is dopamine?
Dopamine is the hormone that's that gives you the pleasure of life.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Can we order a bucket of that?
Give me some of that dopamine, right? I'll take 2.
I have 2 dopamines in your glasses to go.
I'll take a double.
Yeah.
So what is the response in our bodies? How does that secrete? How does that,
specifically with this disorder, the dopamine, they would do PET scans. Those are kind of like CAT scans, but they measure the chemicals in your brain, in your body, any place. They use it for cancer detection, etc. Well, when your dopamine levels are low, then you light up the part of the brain that doesn't give you pleasure. It gives you displeasure. When it's high, normal or high, it lights up the brain where the pleasure parts of the brain are. And there are photographs of these kind of things that shows the good part of the brain, the bad part of the brain.
Like an MRI.
Yeah, exactly. But it's measuring chemicals more than.
Interesting.
It's not like an X-ray, CAT scan type of thing.
So you'd be able to see if they're called dopaminergic responses, right? The neurological impulses that come through the brain. If I'm not getting enough dopamine through those receptor sites, basically, that would be detected in that kind of scan.
That's right. And then part of it's a right brain, left brain issue.
That's my turn
that's your deal.
That's my deal. Yeah. So how is that related then?
Well, what happens if you're more of a right brain person, you'll be happier. A left brain person, unhappier.
Okay, so let me explain what that means. Now we're talking about my turf here. So the right brain in all of us is the creativity. It's the artist. I like to think of him like a watercolorer. He's always sitting kind of on the edge of the couch, or he's upside down, or he's doing a handstand or something. Like he's just this fun guy, okay? That's your right brain. It's your imagination. It's how we actually can maneuver through our lives in this linear plane of existence and see things on other scales of existence, other dimensions. We can reach for the stars, basically, through our right brain. This is how anything that's ever been created has happened. If you guys love going to the movies and you love seeing Pixar and you love watching these amazing, movies that are out these days, that's all right brain. And it's all inside of you all the time to be able to come home inside yourself, visualize what it is that you want and manifest that. That's all right brain. Okay, so it's about really coming home to your true self through that imagination. Your left brain is Mr. Logic, Mr. Analytical, Mr. I got to see it to believe it. He's the scientist. He's the prover. Prove it to me, right? So we need him just as much as the right brain in order to understand who we are, what life's all about. But when these two things are out of balance, when we are only using our left brain and we're not open to our imagination, we're generally going to be less happy. And this is where you were touching on. It's when and if you live only in your right brain, you might be living under a bridge somewhere without a home because you don't really function on a realistic level, pragmatic level of paying your bills and knowing when to pay them on time. Maybe you're just too right brain. So you have to have that balance. The way to get that balance, if you are in one side of the brain or another too often, would be not only through therapy to come in and we can really get you centered in yourself, but it could be a physiological or a nutritional problem as well, right? Yes. So how does that tie in physiologically or nutritionally? The right left brain. So say that somebody's just not in tune with their happiness, not in tune with their true selves. Like, what part of your work combats that?
I mean, when I train somebody and I diet them and I give them coaching, I don't just give them a nutrition plan. I give them actual coaching.
Yeah, you're deeper.
And what that means is it's, I'm texting them, they're texting me at 2 a.m. when they're going to go through a drive-through, and I'm talking them off the ledge.
You
I'm going,
really
don't
care.
do it. Yeah,
you
I really care about that. And it's motivating. I'm motivating them, helping them see the positive, not get down on themselves. I had plenty of clients that just talk so negatively about their bodies, about themselves, how fat they were, and I would stop them and say, I don't want to hear that ever again.
No
say
negative self-talk.
Say it over.
Right. Cognitive restructuring. Say positive things to yourself. Self-affirmations are so important to start to feel good. You actually change your brain chemistry.
Absolutely.
Do you realize that?
Absolutely.
Neurologically, it has a huge impact because I read this book once actually, and they've done studies on this. Something like 80 million thoughts go through your mind a day, right? Some crazy high number. And of those thoughts, it's something like 60% are negative.
Oh, that's terrible.
And the negative is so loud in us. We have these devils on our shoulder that pretty much tell us we suck, to pretty much tell us we can't do it, pretty much tell us we're not worth it, we're worthless. And we tend to listen to that more because they're louder, because they're just so many thoughts. But those positive thoughts are also there, and they're quiet, and you have to center to find them and hear them. And so in order to start to discover that, you do these self-affirmations. You change around that negative self-talk to positive. Instead of telling yourself you're fat, you look at yourself in the mirror. I wouldn't necessarily say all of a sudden you're going to start to believe you're beautiful. But if you start to actually say it to yourself every day, you will change the neurological patterns. They're like freeways. They're grooves on a freeway. You are redirecting grooves in your mind to tell yourself these positive things. Yes. And it will enhance everything about you, mind, body, and spirit. And that's where you come in to supplement.
And that's where, a lot of people they don't know where to start. They need a coach. They need somebody stopping them in something that they just do without even thinking.
It becomes a habit that we don't even realize how much we talk
and we
about
go,
ourselves.
Stop right there, and let's redirect that. I want you to say it in a positive way. And it's also the accountability, knowing that they have to call me or check in or show up to the training session. Somebody is taking care of them.
Accountability.
If they're not willing to do it themselves, at least somebody can help them get on that path.
Which motivates people. Like if you do it all by yourself, and it's great if you're a self-motivator, but a lot of people that need this kind of assistance, they are lost. They don't know where they want to go. And so to have somebody like you that cares and checks in with them, they feel seen, right?
Yeah, and let's face facts. We, even trainers need trainers. We all need people that we can be accountable to. I could be helping people all day long, but I still need to be accountable to somebody myself. Because we all we're humans.
Yep.
We still need that.
Therapists are required to have therapists.
That's
I'm required to know what it feels like on the other side of the couch. Otherwise, how on earth could I really understand and empathetically help you? So the collaboration here is really what it's all about, right?
It is.
My work is about collaboration. Your work sounds like it is too. You benefit from being that cheerleader because you're also a human being that lives it yourself.
Yes, and I want everyone to be balanced and happy. And it's not just about the training. It's not just about the diet. It's about the tests and the lab results. It's about everything. So, to be well balanced, that's what will truly make everybody happy.
I love it. And so do you have anything to add from the medical before we go on break?
No, I think we're going to come back and wrap it up in a few moments here.
All right. Hey. So any calls or thoughts or anything you guys want to talk about, 661-298-5487. If you have been somebody listening, talk about your sex drive with us today. Talk to you soon.
Yeah, this is Dr. Gregory Jenkins. I'm back here with my guest, Tara LaValle. And on the break, we were kind of joking around, and Alicia, she said something kind of funny about getting ready for the mood. So, Alicia,
how to get ourselves in the mood.
How do we get in the mood?
Right. So we have touched on the medical side. We've touched on the nutrition side of sex drive. Now let's just have a little bit of fun before we wrap up the show today and talk about sex drive in general and how to get yourself in the mood. So really basic. Yes, we're going to go to the nutritionist, Body by Tara. Yes, we're going to go and see my doc, Dr. Jenkins, for your lab tests and your numbers. But how about also while you're at home and you just want a bigger, better sex drive and you want to get yourself in the mood? How do we do that? So one of the things that Tara and I are going to talk about right now is how to please yourself. Okay, so masturbation. What a beautiful gift we can give ourselves by going inside and exploring what we want, figuring out what we're like inside, what gets us going. So we're getting our own juices flowing before we invite somebody else into the mix.
Absolutely. Not to mention just warming up before your partner. Why not?
Yeah, give yourself a little clitoral orgasm prior to the big show because it's kind of like the appetizer before the main course, right?
Are you supposed to watch like a comedy or something before that?
Well, is that what you do, Dr. Jenkins?
Always a good movie always gets to be fun,
Whatever gets you going.
Whatever gets you going.
Some people actually do get turned on by laughing, so that is a true thing.
That's true.
I mean, hey, whatever.
There is such. I mean, I do understand the concept. I don't have kids myself, but I do get the concept of going out for a date night to recreate, the ambiance of being on a date and the excitement versus just being at home all the time.
Very true. I mean, I am married and I have a baby, right? So my husband and I have had to get very creative as to when we find time. And my parents, I remember them saying to me, my mom especially, saying to me the time that they had together with me and my brother growing up was always in the middle of the night. They would actually set an alarm at 1 in the morning. The kids are asleep and they would have their time together, and that would be long conversations and making love. And I think they even went down to the kitchen and made midnight snacks together and just had a ball.
Did they sleep at all?
I don't know. I guess my mom and dad made up for it.
The ZMA.
When you're younger, you do have that energy and you have no idea where it comes from. I have no idea where my energy comes from. Somebody just asked me the other day, how are you doing everything that you're doing?
I'd love to see your labs.
Right? I'd like to see my results. I'm going to come into you actually, and I'm going to start being your client. But let's talk about how a woman or a man listening right now can just get themselves more in the mood. So yes, a date night is definitely an enhancer, definitely gets you calm and relaxed. But there are other things we can do ourselves that have nothing to do with our partner and nothing to do with going out. So what are your thoughts?
I have read before that, how something as simple as putting lingerie on for a man, boom, he's in the mood, right? For women,
I am too, though. I love it.
Right. But some women, though, it's been shown that, little things like the men helping with the dishes and doing the laundry actually turn the women on because it's a different form. Like he's helping and that's so sweet. And the next thing you know, she's ready that night to have sex.
You're not even done doing the dishes, buddy. She's already dropped something on the floor. It's so true. It shows the woman that you care. For a man, maybe what would turn you on in a different way besides a sex act? Like we just mentioned, for women, if the guy's doing the dishes, we're like,
For men, that's the basic thing of that they're attracted to their partner, and they look forward to being with the partner closer. I think that's what it always is. I don't think I don't think any of us think, well, if I help her wash the dishes.
No, men don't think that way.
I'll go upstairs in a little bit.
That's why women. That's why women write books. books to help men understand this is how we feel. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus is certainly one of them. The 5 love languages, how to, show your partner in their ways, not your ways, their ways, how to please them, what they see love as. We all have our own languages. You got to learn your partner's language, but you got to learn your own language first.
And I don't think men have languages.
Nope. I was going to say you guys are real simple.
Real simple.
I actually have it narrowed down to 4 S's. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Sex, sleep, steak, and sports. Sex, sleep, steak,
So we have
sports.
we have to wrap up in about a minute. But sex, sleep. Okay, I'm good
Steak
for those 2.
and sports.
Sports.
Sex, sleep, steak, sports.
I watch sports in maybe Super Bowl halftime.
Yeah, you're not really a
What
sports
does a vegan do?
Yeah, that's right.
Steak, tofu steak.
Tofu steaks are those portobello mushroom steaks.
But that's just really, it's testosterone driven, isn't it? I mean, it goes down to like the carnal levels, the primal levels of being a man from the jungles back in the day. You're killing that wildebeest. You're bringing it home. You're providing for the hut. It makes you feel like a man. And,
Which is why it's so important as women to not emasculate the men. They have to feel like the men.
It's a big imbalance out there these days, but I think that it's a beautiful thing also that women are coming into themselves. There's a whole movement right now where women are really opening up and they're speaking their voice and they're being heard, and it's like, hear her roar. I mean, she is powerful right now, this feminine divine that's coming up in all of us. So there's a beautiful balance to be struck here, ladies and gentlemen. Women, come home to yourself. Give yourself that pleasure first. Wear that lingerie for you.
Come back next week and listen to us. We'll maybe have some more ideas for you.
Right? And I want your input as to what men want from women.
Well, luckily we had Tara LaValle.
LaValle.
I keep throwing the French and
it took him years to get my name right, don't worry.
But luckily, go to her website.
bodybytara.com for Tara LaValle. Yeah. My doc is your website.
Or Gregory Jenkins, MD.
And
Gmail.
At Gmail. Gregory Jenkins at Gmail. And my website is Let It Loose. LETITLUCE, loose meaning the Latin word for light. Let your true light out. So this has been my doc and Dukov.
And this is Dr. Gregory Jenkins. We're signing off again.
Thank you for coming, Tara.
And
Tara, thanks for coming.
Me.
It was great. Thank you.
Oh my God, I learned a lot. Okay, Maca.
and this is KHTS. And we are going to be...
We'll be back for more next week. You guys can't wait. All right. See you later.